As well as the fair use policy, this video is also protected under the Treaty of Peace and Friendship 1787. G'day. Welcome back to the channel. First time here? You're more than welcome. So whilst doing some research for the next video on First Amendment auditors, I found Jamal being interviewed by Auditing America, and he talks a lot of nonsense. I'll show you what I mean.
So who are you gentlemen, and what are the Moors? What is the rise of the Moors?
I'm Moreno Bay. I'm Jamal Talib Abdullah Bay. Basically, Moors are who society know as black people, Spanish people, Negroes, coloreds, and African Americans. We're all really the same people. If you look up, there's a website called etimononline.com. If you type in Negro or black or Moor, you'll see that Moor was the ancient or original name of so-called black people today.
But wait, there's more!
American Dictionary of the English Language, 1828, Noah Webster's. And I'll show you the definition of black, and then I'll ask you if I fit that description, right?
Who's rising Moors though?
Hold on, let me go with this first. Let's find black. Black, boom. For the camera. Black is an adjective. That's what the A is. So it's not a person, place, or thing, right?
You're not an adjective.
Exactly. It describes. Then it'll show you in the Saxon language, it's spelled like B-L-A-C, E-T-C, all of which means pale. Now, am I pale?
No.
So how can I be a black man?
We have to remember that he's reading there from a dictionary published in 1828. Times have changed, better knowledge has been gained, and words have been redefined. Here we see from dictionary.com that black being a colour that lacks hue and brightness and absorbs light without reflecting any of the rays composing it, and pertaining or belonging to any of the various populations characterised by dark skin pigmentation, specifically the dark-skinned peoples of Africa, Oceania, and Australia.
Like when a person dies, they turn pale. So black, according to science, means death. Now there's also something called political science. Black in law means death, which is why black people have no rights. So not only in the English language does it mean death, according to science it means death, and according to political science, law, it means death. So this is why quote unquote black people have no rights, because they're saying, I'm dead. Dead people have no rights.
That is just pure crazy. Nowhere, anywhere, in any research I've ever done, and in my 49 years, have I heard that black means death. I could put some images on the screen of black people that have died that are in open caskets, but I'm not going to do that. But if you Google it, you'll see what I mean. When black people die, they stay black.
World history, you'll eventually find the Moors. You'll find the Moors entering into Spain, which was called Al-Andalus, around 711 AD. This is when we went into Europe to clean Europe of the Black Plague. That was mainly the most devastating problem that was going on in Europe at that time, because Europeans weren't bathing, they weren't showering, they would put makeup on and it would crack and put more makeup on.
They would just throw feces into the streets.
Yeah, they would sleep with animals and things like that. So during that time period, it's also called the Renaissance. But what we're taught in school is that the Greeks just created this information, and then, you know, Western civilization thrived, or that's where Western civilization is derived from. That's not true. Dark-skinned Moors went into Europe from Africa, or what we call Africa today, and taught Europeans everything.
Wrong. I have never heard so many contradictions in one sentence. He said that the Moors went into Europe around about 711 AD to clean the Black Plague. Black Plague was in Europe and Asia in 1347. And then also talks about the Greeks and the Renaissance. The Greeks, like Aristotle, Socrates, Plato, they lived roughly between 4 and 6 or 6 and 4 BC, creating the knowledge that they created. And the Renaissance was a period in time from 1300 to 1600 AD.
So let's talk about that, right? Because people on the internet, well, all Masons, they worship Lucifer and they're the devil. And then I've heard from you and I think others that more science is this occult, esoteric knowledge.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
And so what's going on there? Are the Masons just claiming it for themselves?
There are some Masons who do claim it for themselves, like I said, because they just want the power. Lucifer literally means light bringer.
Even the guy from Demand the Truth is being sucked down this rabbit hole. I can't believe it. Lucifer is basically the Latin name for the planet Venus and means light bringer. Often referred to as morning star, hence why in the program Lucifer, he calls himself Lucifer Morningstar. It has absolutely nothing. All the research I've done, and I spent a couple of hours on it, nowhere can I find any reference to Lucifer meaning library.
What is this knowledge? What is this? Because it seems to me like, at least from my corrupted knowledge of history, we had Plato, Pythagoras, and then we have the mystery schools, then we have Rosicrucianism, Freemasonry, the Templars. And those people just so happen to be the powerful people that have run things throughout time. So what is it that you guys know and the Masons know that they don't want anybody else to know?
Just basically the real application of the fact that we are God on earth. And the only way to be an effective human, which means God on earth.
What?
Because I'll just break that down. God is English, which is derived from German, Gott, G-O-T-T, which is derived from Old High German, G-U-D, or G-U-T, which is derived from Sanskrita, what they call Sanskrit, H-U-T, which means to invoke, to call upon, and to pour out, which you can just Google this. Man means mind. So if Hu means to invoke, and man means mind, we are the invoking mind, which means we're God on earth, because only God can invoke things.
Wow.
And so you'll see Masons with ambassador. They're ambassadors. They're showing you the science in Masonry. And they're driving the little small cars, Corvettes. That's what the Moors used to take over their ships.
Not really sure about that last sentence. The whole segment there was about Freemasonry. Not even going to go into that. But that last sentence he said was they drove their little cars, their little Corvettes, and they put them on the ships. He's talking about a treaty from 1787, which we've already looked into, which was a lot about free trade. But now he's talking about putting a Corvette on the ship. First Corvette wasn't made until 1953.
The fact that the treaty predates the Constitution shows you that there were two separate nations here, right? The Moors and the United States. In order for you to continue to do business as an independent party, you had to speak to us because you're on our land, which is why it's so important that in Article 6 of the Constitution, it talks about treaties. Because we're talking about two separate nations that live on the same landmass. Topic, when you study the Berlin Conference of 1883, 1884, or 1882 to 1884, you'll see that all these modern names of Africa, they just made them up. All these borders, they just made that up. So when you study Pangaea, you'll see that all the continents were connected. They'll even tell you that the bedrock of Florida is similar to Northwest Africa, which will tell you that if Pangaea was real, which it is, then North America is Northwest Africa. So yes, Morocco is in Northwest Africa. It is a fact that Memphis, Egypt, isn't there a city called Memphis on the Mississippi River? Okay. In the pyramids, under the guidance of the kings, the mystic rites of masonry were worked many thousands of years ago. But at that time, Egypt and the continent of America were one and the same. So America is Egypt.
For the first time, Jamal is actually saying something very true and real. Pangaea really did exist. But the part he read from that book was that building the temples was done under the kings when North or the Americas were part of Africa. That's physically impossible. I've put into Google here, when was the first human on Earth? And that was around 2.8 million years ago. So when he's talking about pyramids being built when the Americas were connected to Africa, Pangaea was over 250 million years ago. And as we can see here, that the Americas, North and South, split from Africa and Europe 65 million years ago. And the first humans, 2.8 million years ago. And it has already been discovered that the pyramids were built roughly about 6000 BC. That is not possible 250 million years ago.
You've taught me a lot in the small amount of time that we've been there. And the thing that I like about you is not only at riseofthemoors.org are you guys educating folks on Rise of the Moors on YouTube, but you guys are out there. You've got a litany, you've got a plethora of documentation here to back up everything you're saying. And it's just really important too, because perception is everything. When people see people just making a video and it's just, people say all sorts of stuff. There's reptoids underneath the hollow earth and all this other stuff. They may be, but they're not showing you any documentation over that.
Why would you give so much energy to that when you don't even understand the politics that govern your everyday life?
People ask me on YouTube comments all the time, Will, what's your take on flat earth? What's your take on flat earth? I'll tell them. Doesn't make a difference if the earth is flat, round, or a trombone. We still have genocide. We still have children getting raped. Once we figure all that out, I will be the first person to send an expedition to Antarctica, bust down the seawall, and kill the reptoids. Exactly. But until then, we got other shit to deal with, okay?
Exactly. I told the Moors the same thing. I personally think that the earth is flat. But it doesn't fucking matter when I can't even live in my own house. It doesn't matter if the police can come into my home at any day and break the door down. And then if I do anything in retaliation, they control the whole media, so now I'm the bad guy. When they're the tyrants.
What Jamal is referring to there was the night that the police and or FBI raided his house. It must have been late on the 4th of March as the charges were laid on the 5th. Case number there, 61-2020-202734. And in true Virgo triad style, we'll look at this. So arresting an officer in the execution of his duties, disorderly conduct, and resisting legal or illegal arrest, all misdemeanors. And the case has now been put down for the 15th of May. This is due to, I think, pretty much every court now in America in lockdown or it's suspended until the current issue passes. So a pre-trial conference set down for the 15th of May. We'll look at that then. So just when you thought things couldn't get any worse, Jamal turns out to be a flat earther as well. So a few lies there, some misinformation, and just basically a whole bunch of hocus pocus. That is one batshit crazy person talking a whole heap of batshit crazy. If you did like the video, please hit that thumbs up button. If it is your first time here, please hit that subscribe button. It is thoroughly appreciated. Thank you so much for everyone who has done so far. If you do like it, share the video with your friends, your families, your enemies, just as long as you stay that 1.5 meters apart. Stay safe, everyone. Keep well. And we will see you on the next video. G'day.